What's up, everybody? This is Phat with Phat Swing Plans and Observations. Well, that's not a good start to the week. Hopefully, I don't cough us into a further breakdown. Not looking great, I will say, looking at futures tonight, but great rotation. Is it from AI hype to value and cyclicals? We will find out this week. Right now, this is pretty much the FinTwit assessment. We'll see how that plays out this week. Remember, we're in a news driven environment right now, a Trump market, and those things can change by a simple tweet from him or government putting out some news, investments, and such that can really drive the market one way or another. Remember that don't fight the Fed. Never holds more true than right now. Don't fight Trump and the Fed because he's got them behind him and he can move markets. So while it does look like we're shifting into a value defensive potential shift right now, that could all change very shortly. Interpretation and use of the setter rating, top 10% setter scores 90 to 100 indicate strong technical leaders. And having said that, I will say that technology is still the leader, 81.4. It's up at the top, although healthcare had jumped it a couple weeks ago and then now has pulled back and it's set back up. Healthcare is set back up for another push. Consumer discretionary up there, riding a little bit of Christmas purchasing by people. Remember, that's mostly dominated by Tesla and Home Depot. And Home Depot is one with the recent rate cut from last week. We could get maybe a little bump there off of Home Depot, so eyes on that. I will also note as well Berkshire Hathaway, BRK.B, if you're looking to play that value shift, is looks like it appears to be bottoming. Had a nice week last week and finished strong. Major economic news this week. PCE would be the major driver, although right now I'm not able to determine if we're actually going to have PCE. No confirmed date or time is my understanding as of this print, but I do not know. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I'm seeing across the board. But you have a lot of things like weekly jobless claims. This is a good week. I set my alarm and I just watch SPX and SPY, just kind of see how they play out. Set your alarm for 8:30, 10, 7:45. I don't necessarily set alerts on my charts. I just set my alarm and it goes off and I'm like, oh, it's 8:30. Let me check, see how CPI is doing. And then I'll be like, oh, 10 o'clock. Let's see how that Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey came out. Excuse me. Key earnings for the week. We do have a large group of the consumer, so like XLY, discretionary spending type stocks. Mixed. Cruise lines is one that Nike's always one that can have an impact, not so much on the market, but it can have an impact on sentiment when it does real good. And cruise lines, we've got CCL coming out. Something we need to look at is Viking, VIK. It's been doing really well. Let's take a look at that. Oh, it's the wrong chart. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Well, I've got something on there that I was working with earlier. What in the heck? There it is. All right. So let's take a look at the chart and let's go to Viking VIK. So this is a recent IPO cruise line that's been doing really well. Had this bear bar on Friday, but remember in an uptrend, these outside bullish bear bars usually do not have quite as much an impact, although that's a pretty big one, although the volume wasn't there with it. But what I'm saying is we can look for a pullback here, and of course these larger bars we don't want to see on the pullback, but looking for a low volume pullback here into this 1020 cloud structure. Would love to see it come back to 65. And then if you look at CCL, really, I mean, nice day on Thursday. I mean, up 6% heading into earnings. So we've got time, in other words, is my point, for Viking to repair and then get in VIK as, look at this earnings move right here. I mean, this is almost an automatic buy off this VWAP right here, off of earnings on Viking. So I've got that one sort of on my just pullbacks list of when they happen to pull back to that 1020 cloud or that earnings VWAP, especially if the market pulls back here. That would just be awesome to get into Viking right here. Coming out of nice base. That's ARKF. Not sure why I got that up. All right, so Just giving you that on earnings. And then Deepvue market themes. If we look at the themes across the board, what you'll see is, again, for the year, the gold miners, I think everybody's aware of that, and silver has now taken the lead, and Bitcoin miners still strong. But when you go across the board, something just as you kind of learn to read these things, so Bitcoin miners, if you notice here, silver and gold, where is Bitcoin? It's not here, right? And so you look down and you see it here. So on the 3-month, Bitcoin has dropped down. And then you go to the 1 month and you see silver, you see gold, you see airlines with its recent move. Been like BA's been having a strong run. But bottom line is you see silver, you see gold. Where is Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin is down here, dead last. And so as in terms of 3-month and 1 month strength, you can see silver and gold. So these are the areas that we're wanting to hunt in until Bitcoin proves us otherwise. On a more recent scale, you can come down here and you can say, okay, on the weekly, well, it's still silver and gold miners. So still it's pullback buys in the precious metals. You can see the aerospace and airlines. So aerospace is right here holding in strong on the year. It's up 44%. Let's go over here and let's check aerospace and let's find it. I know it was struggling a little bit. There it is on the 3-month. Here's aerospace. And then we go over here to the 1 month. Let's find aerospace. Here's aerospace. Not much improvement. Then you go over here. So is this the beginning of aerospace? And we're seeing some FinTwit chatter, a lot of talk about space again. And we're hearing talk about solar energy infrastructure in space now. So is that where that's coming from? Are there other reasons aerospace is pumping? Is it the drones that they're supposedly purchasing? And there's actually, pretty good proof of the amount of money the government's willing to spend in it. Is that sort of sliding into the aerospace theme? Either way, what we know is aerospace had a good week. Aerospace over here is not great on the 1 month. Aerospace on the 3-month, not great. So it's kind of in the middle. And this weekly, that I'm looking more at is my point than say Bitcoin, which is down here on the weekly and the monthly basically. And then when you go over here in these top groups, these top 10, if you will. So aerospace looking good. Also telecom, if we go across and look at telecom down here on the 3-month, it's not terrible on telecom right here. And then we go over here to 1 month, pretty strong and pretty strong. So telecom coming as well. And that's all kind of related to that area. Just showing you how I kind of, when I look at the theme tracker, that's sort of what I'm seeing. So leadership and laggards by time frame, I broke that down a little more for you, but that's basically what I'm looking at. Practical trading implications. So the bias is long, as I said earlier, silver and gold miners. Selected cyclical, steel had a good week. Oil and gas and airlines. Airlines doesn't have the yearly strength, but again, it could be the beginning of a longer term trend, but when I needed to prove it to us. So we'll see that pullback. Let's look at airlines, see if we've got a pullback. Oh, that's not airlines. There we go. So let's look at jets. Look at jets and BA. And jets needs a pullback, right? So we can see those rooster tails starting to form up there. Let's check BA, kind of one of the old dog leaders. So this would be a good one to look for a pullback right here. Now I prefer those nice 30% explosions and then lower volume pullbacks, but jets could be proving itself, and this could become a longer term base for BA. You can see it's holding that gap up well. Just something to keep on your radar as we move through. Traders Lab themes. When you look at the Traders Lab themes, we've got pharma back in number 1. We've got natural resources, gold miners, silver again. There's those gold mined silvers. And then XLF banks kind of keeps sticking in there, sort of popping up on us, holding the line. And then lithium, that's a big move off of number 1. And I noted in the Phat plan that basically the semiconductors are kind of dropping off. I mean, there's no doubting about that. And then airlines not far from dropping off as well. So biotech, a little deeper than I would have expected. Steel, a little deeper than I would have expected. But that steel is connected again to the semiconductor infrastructure building type theme. So that infrastructure theme, I don't know. Is it because of the bottleneck and it just can't be built that fast? And so there's, maybe some of the idea that there's going to be these earnings are starting to lower expectations for the earnings because of that bottleneck. I don't know. But what I do know is pharma plays are back up, number 1. And I've got a nice low volume setup there in MDGL. And I know that I've got a setup in Apple, which, can go. I know it's with the large cap plays, but it's been super strong. And I'll look for that lower volume pullback. And we don't know that this week, we haven't seen the AI theme completely fall apart. I mean, my God, it's not even below the 1020 cloud yet. So we'll see if that continues or if we get a bounce. And if we do, I want to be a part of Apple, which is sort of separate, which may be why it's holding up so well from that AI theme. If you read about Apple, they haven't actually spent that much money yet in terms of like compared to say Meta as part of their holdings investments into the whole AI theme. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's your Traders Lab themes. And then market carpet for the week. I mean, obviously, here's where that large cap sort of has played out. And here you can see where Apple has held up really well. Here's BRKB. I said it had a strong, or finished strong, but it did not have a great week in terms of price. But I will say the financial sector is strong, and all those is a little bit of a different player in here. The value play looks strong. So this is a good one, I think. And then, of course, Staples, decent week over here. But just not a big fan. They move so slow, although Walmart has been moving at a pretty good clip. And then you can see right here, discretionary's got some nice spots in it where it's deep. But again, probably more than likely connected to some of that Christmas data coming out. Industrials, GE with a big day for GE. That's a big move for GE. GEV, strong week, even though it pulled back after the gap up. It did pull back, but again, the pullback still left it up 5 or 6% on the week. So that's pretty much it. Healthcare, kind of mixed in there, but again, I've got a pretty good one. Healthcare, HCA, with a nice low volume pullback for today, for Monday. SPX, intraday morning gaps movers. So this right here, this gap is interesting. This is what we're kind of eyes on this gap for any pullback. That seems a bit far, but this definitely is calling its name right now. We're putting in lower highs intraday, so not unexpected. If we gap down tomorrow, I would watch. If we gap below this level right here, I would watch for it to get rejected and then come eventually touch or at least fill that gap. And same thing, if we were below this red dashed line, I would expect either of these two levels for a rejection and then to come test, like fill the gap, in other words. So if we gap down, it'll fill the gap here, or gap down, fill the gap here, and then go back down and test that blue gap. That's probably in the cards if we continue like we are with no news alerts of any sort that would be catalyst for the market. SPX, we are in danger of crossing on the RSI, crossing that 50 level, and when we do, that generally is not a great thing. Not always. I mean, you can hear where we just barely clipped it. We continued, but in general, when we cross below it, that's usually part of a bad sign, or at least chop at a minimum. And you can just go through and look at it on the chart and see where those areas occur. I've got them highlighted for you right here as we cross through it. And I may have missed one or two, but in general, you get the idea that that's not a good thing when we cross that 50 point. More than likely, we're in for a little bit of a pullback to a mild correction at a minimum. But again, doesn't always play out that way. Here we just clipped it, like I said, and here, I mean, yeah, it was a hell of a day, but it certainly rocketed back. So it's not like you can just say, okay, the trend has now changed. Until we break this low right here firmly, then we're still in a larger medium uptrend. This would be a break of a medium uptrend. A break of a short uptrend would be like a break of this low right here, would be a short term, but this would be a break of a lower low, and that would be a bad thing. We could expect probably to come down here and test that 200. So don't want that. SPY, negative news here. We're getting across potentially just one more bad day, and we're going to cross negative, and then you can go back and see where I've got them highlighted in red. That is generally not a good thing. Again, it's not 100%. SPY chart with market view analysis. Market trend is green, so technically this is a dip buy. Stam Weinstein, stage 2A, actually turned into 2A early last week, and Deepvue market trend is still green. All moving averages or key moving averages are turned up and crossed upwards of each other, so that is good. 10, 20 cloud and 50 all turned up, so looking good there. That's technically a dip buy. Weekly relative rotation graph. On the weekly relative rotation graph, we've got XLV in the lead, followed up by XLK. This is what Julius would say, that XLK is actually second because it is over here in the weakening, but you notice the relative strength. So the further to the right, the better for relative strength. and it's the furthest one to the right. So this one by price and relative strength is number 1. This one would be number 2. And then XLU would still technically be number 3 because it's got the furthest over here on relative strength, and it's above the 100 level on price momentum. So XLU, although it's pointed down and away from the money angle, would be number 3, but I would say XLE gets the edge for me because it is pointed towards the money angle. So you could almost consider these a tie, given the lead to XLE, but technically to XLU, if that makes sense. And then XLRE and XLP. XLP looking the best out of all of the sectors on the relative rotation graph, the healthiest, I should say, not the best, the healthiest. So XLP heading straight for that money angle, had increasing velocity, although we want to see, of course, it continue on that path, improving price and relative strength. XLI is right at that 50 level, could be, I think, the second healthiest after XLP, and maybe take on leadership here because it's set like it could just take off on increasing velocity heading at the money angle right there. XLB as well, I could see 1, 2, 3. These 3 guys right here really coming on strong. XLRE maybe still dragging. XLE crossing over, then taking its dip. But XLI, XLB, XLP, these 3 guys look really healthy. Again, XLV still in the lead, XLK still in the lead. And you can read through that down there. And then before we look further at the S&P 500 sectors, let's look at the offensive versus defensive chart below. And when we look below here, we see that actually we are still in a relative uptrend on all 3 time frames, basically short-term, medium, and long-term. This is a very nice hold of this key level right here. Now, what would, of course, be bad is losing that key level. And then when you look at the equal weight, RSPD versus RSPS, they're actually looking pretty good. So our equal weight actually kind of holding in there, outperforming the large caps, which no surprise there, having looked at the previous charts. Growth versus SPY, not good on XLK. Still in the lead, technically, of the 3 growth charts, but not good. And then here we broke a nice wedge on XLC, holding up relatively well. The only thing is here we kind of got that, you can draw that line out right there, and we break that. It's not looking good. Whereas over here on consumer discretionary, again, Christmas-based news, we're actually pulling ahead right there, looking good. Kind of broke this recent higher low right here, so lower high, excuse me, this lower high, and that's a positive, but I would expect probably a rejection here unless we see some more news catalysts coming on. Value versus SPY. When we look at value, nice break right here, very, very strong break, and basically industrials looking good. And same thing, financials, nice wedge break right here. We've got a very nice wedge break, and then the same thing with materials. We've got a potential break of this descending trend line coming up, along with energy still basing, kind of the laggard of the group. But individually, energy can do its own thing, so I wouldn't necessarily say don't play energy because it's lagging. But it looks good. All 4 sectors look good in the value plays. I mean, look how things can change. We had this just kind of dying wedge, and then it broke out. We had this descending trend line, and then it broke out. What I like is when we're tracking them all like we were, and they break those lines, that gives me good confidence. Next, defensive versus SPY. So we got defensive versus SPY. We're underneath this key level, and until we regain that key level, I don't see where XLU has anything good to go for it right now. This could be sort of an undercut, but right now, just not looking great. And then we're still basing over here with consumer staples. Got a potential, it kind of looks like it's tightening, and we've got a potential to break this area right in here where we could have a recent lower high broke. And then real estate, just not looking great right now. Not seeing it, no movement from there. And you can see how I'm doing on the year. A little disappointed. Not best closeout to the year, but that's all right. Still well outperforming at SPY and SPX and all that good stuff. Dow Jones, whoever. All right, so now we will go Deepvue. And let's take a look at, let me go to, sorry. Oh, my dog coming around making some noise, no worries. What's up, Hodge? All right, let's see here. Go to watch list. Where are my ETF pullbacks? All right, so XBI, we talked about this one earlier, and that's why we go through those charts. So versus SPY looking really good, and it's in a nice low volume pullback right here. So we got a low volume pullback. We have inside bar right here, and we have a nice hammer. So it's a bullish hammer. Looks good. So XBI, look at that relative strength in XBI this whole time. So relative strength phase, and then each one of these pullbacks in that relative strength phase getting bought up. So what's different this time? Nothing. All right, looks good. Looks really nice for push forward. BIL, Bloomberg 1 to 3 month OT bills. We'll stay away from that. HYG, we'll stay away from that. Stay away from that. There's always a sign when them boys are showing up. And then IHI, medical devices ETF, not there. Shy, yeah. RTH. I'm not sold on the retail stuff with the whole Christmas thing. We'll see. So IBB, biotechs, look at that wedging right there. Look at that nice tight wedging forming right here. A little bit of a parallel channel forming. Actually, a little bull flag. So looks good. Right there, you can see it there, right? Very nice. Price tightening up right here. I like it. Relative strength line looking across. So IBB looking good. Gonna write that one down. And I've actually got a biotech play for tonight. And then ITB, home construction, it's just loose. You know, it is a low volume pullback, but it's just loose and there's no explosion, consolidation, pullback. XLC moved into stage 2A. Pretty interesting here to see it move into Sam Weinstein stage 2A. And was decent on that wedge break on XLC versus SPY. Would like to see it pull back a little bit more into this 10-20 cloud, give me a little better setup. But look at that relative strength right there by XLC. So Meta coming off that 200-day. Let's check Meta. Oof. Didn't realize I had that bad a day Friday, but never mind. Netflix kind of got all that news stuff going on. Oof. Must be some other boys that are moving XLC right now. Stay away from that for a while. God, did not expect to see that from Meta. Is that like a glitch or something? What the hell happened to Meta Friday? Macy's looking good. God almighty, that's ugly. XHB, no, and then these guys will start tailing off a little bit. Just not seeing those great setups. Just not seeing them, you know. And I mean, it was a tough day Friday. Some good volume there. And SPY itself on the launch pad, so average is getting tight right here. But that's about it. We got a lot of launch pad plays left, so they've come down into their moving averages. But they're not in low volume setups for me, so we'll stay away from those guys. So basically the biotechs had the best looking ETF low volume setup. All right, let's go ahead and check our Phat pullbacks. There we go. All right, so SBIT, so that's short Bitcoin. They say when that's looking better than the actual Bitcoin, that's not a good thing. Let's check on Bitcoin tonight. Let's see how it's doing. Got that pinch I've been watching. Don't want to see it break down side of that. Oh, good. Holding in there. Boy, shoo, we closed through it. Oh, gosh, don't want to see a rejection. Let's go down there and look, see what happens there. Oh, coming through it. Okay, so this declining 5-day, what we don't want to see, and that's a common spot, well, as you can see right here. Don't want to see a rejection here at that 5-day. What we want to see is a retest here and hold that VWAP and then break through that 5-day. It is starting to flatten out a little bit, but could easily reject Sorry, I'm yawning. Could easily reject right there and lose this pinch. So this was bad, right? And then it's battling back, but as you can see, it lost that battle with the pinch right here. And your only hope is that it recovers and doesn't fail. If it fails right here, then it's going to be a bad, bad, bad time for Bitcoiners. That's my technical analysis. Bad, bad, bad time for Bitcoiners. All right, so that's coin, isn't it? Yeah. So coin in a nice low volume setup. So if Bitcoin recovers, you got some opportunity here with a low volume setup in coin. Relative strength, of course, is terrible. There was some news though. They're kind of moving into the what is it, the polls, the Kalishi stuff or whatever. So if that may be enough to get it going. NTRA, beautiful relative strength, biotech play. It was a pretty aggressive pullback. IDYA, same thing. Rooster Tails, aggressive pullback. Jazz, nothing wrong with it here. I mean, holding that area right here off this low from this big gap up, it's just a little much for me. SEE, looking good. Decent pullback right here, holding the 20-day. Nice upside reversal. Again, if you're into materials and whatnot, they're not the fastest movers generally. So after that big move up, I don't know how much more there is. AXSM, pharma play. I've got a better one looking through them. AMRX, it's volume. See, I'm not liking these with that kind of volume. IBM, good opportunity on IBM. IBM kind of bucked its old school trend, had a very super strong move, has now been consolidating. Could expect it to maybe need more time than that. And of course, XLK right now, eyes on to see if we see any recovery in there, but right now, not the hottest thing. HAE, healthcare supplies. I mean, beautiful institutional accumulation, just marched up to 5-day. It never even touched the 10. This is the first touch of the 10. Definitely something there potentially on this one, breaking through that highs. I mean, you got 4% move to the high, and then this will be the resistance area, and then through it could even be better. But again, after a long move like that, want to see consolidation for a higher move. That would just be a little kick-up move. HCA, like this one. So good example right here. So we had this longer move up, and then now this area of consolidation. This is the support level. So this could need more time, no doubt. So I'm watching it more if it wants to pull back into this support area and build out right here. Base, in other words, this would be the better play. But you can play it through the high of the day. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It'd be going up for the high here would be the resistance at 519, 520. But this is the right sector, and I like this volume better than the other one. So if I'm going to play one through the high of the day, it's going to be HCA, like this one. PTCT, a little bit, not sure what's going on there. Kind of almost bear flaggish to me, in my opinion. TVTX, no, not liking the rest of these bios. GSK, pharma play. I don't like gap up, gap downs. Apple, I like Apple here. Do a little support resistance level here. So nice inside bar. Of the tech plays, again, it hasn't spent its AI cap money, so to speak. Of the AI play, of the tech plays, like an Apple here, it's a little consolidation after this strong move up, consolidation, explosion. So little pull back into the 20 right here. Notice it got pushed back up right here, a little flush from everybody that saw that move, tried to get in, got flushed out. Nice inside bar, can play with a true inside bar play, like an Apple here. GH, I want to say I like GH, but a little bit too much distribution in there for me. SRPT, staying away from the rest of the bios. MDGL is my one bio that I'm interested in. Good relative strength line. Took a little dip here, trying to recover it now. Here's your explosion. Here's your consolidation. Nice inside bar. True low volume pullback to the 20 EMA. Came down right there, held that. And these are the best ones that flush that 20 EMA and then recover and hold it. And now we put an inside bar. So we've got support right here. And through that inside bar break, I'll play it on intraday volume. WTM, insurance, beautiful relative strength. Don't like these rooster tails, but beautiful relative strength. LLY, there's nothing wrong with LLY here. Probably should have it on the list. It just technically, I'm trying to get a little more finite in my technical skills, and looking at this move here, this pullback, we need consolidation, right? So explosion, consolidation, basing, and then explosion, and it hasn't had enough time, in other words, for that. So, but definitely it could easily go to that high of the day. No doubt about it. But a little bit of a too high, too fast, and then pulls back kind of a mean reversion, and then now base, and then go. So that's it for the setups for tomorrow. I'm liking basically. I can show you. Let me show you where I've been getting it ready to send out. Ooh, what did you do, Phat? I don't know. Well, thought I was going to help here, and then now my computer. I'm having a little technical issues tonight. There we go. Hold on a second, I got you. Just to round it up for you. So Apple, got your uptrend price 279 is above 20-day, 276 50-day moving averages with the RSI in the high 50s. It's neutral to bullish, and then basically we can look at that. Let's look at these four. So what we got here, just so you can go back and look at it if you want on tape. You got MDGL, good bio play if you want to play the farm plays. Strong multi-month uptrend, recently paused, and then it's just a nice pullback. And then HCA, nice pullback right here, the 50-day, holding the line. I mean, this clear signs of institutional want right here, came back into it, really like it. And then on my 6-point scorecard, basically MDGL it comes out the best one on the scoring, along with Apple. I mean, HCA would be third. But I think this is probably my favorite one. It's a little bit of a grinder. Apple's a little bit of a grinder too. But I think that's my three best ones I can find off of the low volume setups from my scan. And then let's look at it just for fun here before we close out. Let me log in real quick. So let's go with Apple. So on Apple, we've got nice RSI above 50. Sometimes it's just good to look at on a different chart. You can see the basing right here, a little pullback. It's a little bit aggressive on the pullback, but I like how those tight closes right there. MACD's or PPO I use on these charts is turned down. We'll see that turn back up. Let's go MDGL. No, let's go HCA first. HCA, I mean, obviously, couple of big bodied candles. That's generally not a great sign. May need a little more time here. You'll know because it'll fail. It won't even. I don't even think it'll break the high from Friday on intraday volume or anything like that. But the RSI with a nice recovery right there. But look at that PPO turned down. So tomorrow may not be the best day. And then so the best ETF we saw, really the only ETF we saw that was looking really good, was IBB, and when we look at the bios. So then MDGL. Pharma play, actually good, strong RSI above 50. PPO is turned down though. There's no doubt about it. Although, and I often try to show this people, if you look down here, we're seeing an improvement on the histogram, and that's the first sign. You'll see that slight improvement on the histogram. If you go back and you start looking, usually, kind of do this on the spot, it probably won't work, but usually, if you go and when you see the histogram, so right here, start to improve. See that? So right down there, your histogram is actually more important to me than trying to watch these moving averages. So there's your improvement, and you can obviously see price. And so you go over here, and here we start to improve. And yeah, it holds up pretty good right there. So let's go right here. We start to improve, and yeah, price goes up. And here we start to improve, and price holds up, but it does go down. And then here we start to improve and price goes up. So you get the idea. Here we start to improve and price goes up. So again, we start to improve and yeah, let's see price go up. But what do we have to trigger us? We have an inside bar. So you can see it right here. That's the inside bar. So what we do is through that high of the day on intraday volume right there through 57693, right through 577 on intraday volume, we would make a natural assumption that it looks like the PPO is going to continue to improve on the histogram, and we've got a very nice RSI after coming off oversold. So there's your explosion, consolidation, or low volume pullback after a nice 30% move, and then pullback and explosion. So that's it for tonight, guys. Basically, like in Apple, MDGL, and HCA, not a lot of great setups. I mean, not going to deny that. We'll see how things play out tomorrow. Good luck to everybody. If I can help you, let me know.